Lunar Maria. The dark regions on the moon are not oceans, they are scars. Billions of years ago, colossal impacts shattered the lunar crust wide open, and then the moon began to bleed lava. Not for years, not for centuries, for over 1 billion years. Molten rock flooded entire regions of the surface, drowning the moon in oceans of fire before cooling into the massive dark plains we call the lunar Maria. The largest, the Ocean of Storms, stretches nearly 2,500 kilometers across, large enough to swallow entire countries. Basalt beneath the surface reaches depths of 6 kilometers. Compared to Earth's lava fields, the lunar Maria are almost incomprehensibly larger. Earth's Columbia River basalt group covers 163,000 square kilometers. The moon's Maria cover over 3 million. And that's when it gets disturbing. Scientists believe these eruptions released toxic volcanic gases powerful enough to strip away any atmosphere the moon once possessed. Not over millions of years, over centuries. The moon may have once had a sky, then it lost it forever. But the volcanic age left behind something worse, a fractured crust, a surface still breaking apart from the inside, and it only gets worse from here. Moonquakes. The moon is not dead. It still shakes. Apollo seismometers placed on the surface in 1969 detected something terrifying. The moon experiences hundreds of moonquakes every year. Some originate over 1,000 kilometers beneath the surface. Others erupt violently near the crust itself. Shallow moonquakes have reached magnitudes of 5.5. On Earth, quakes like that last seconds. On the moon, they can continue for over 10 minutes. 10 full minutes of the ground screaming beneath you. And then scientists realized why. The moon's interior is completely dry, rigid, solid. There is nothing inside to absorb the energy, so when the moon shakes, the vibrations travel through the entire body like a bell refusing to stop ringing. But here's the terrifying part. Scientists believe the moon is actively shrinking. Its core is cooling, compressing, fracturing the crust from within. The entire surface is slowly collapsing inward. Over the last several hundred million years, the moon has shrunk by roughly 50 meters. That may sound small until you realize an entire planetary body is physically contracting in space. Any future colony built there will sit on unstable ground with no warning system, no atmosphere, and nowhere to run. And then scientists noticed something impossible. The quakes are not random. Patterns repeat. Cycles return. Almost like something deep beneath the surface is responding to forces we still do not understand. And that's where reality begins to break. The lunar regolith. The moon is covered in dust, but calling it dust is dangerously misleading. Lunar regolith is one of the most hostile substances in the known solar system. For 4.5 billion years, micrometeorites and cosmic radiation pulverized ancient rock into microscopic razor blades, particles smaller than human cells, sharp enough to slice through equipment, sharp enough to scar human lungs permanently. Unlike Earth dust, lunar dust was never softened by water, never eroded by wind. Every grain remains violently jagged, geometrically brutal. Apollo astronauts returned with damaged suits, destroyed seals, scratched visors, and failing equipment after only a few surface excursions. One astronaut even reported sneezing blood. And that wasn't the worst part. Scientists discovered inhaled lunar dust embeds permanently into lung tissue. There is no treatment, no cure. Researchers named the condition lunar dust pneumocinosis. The moon itself may slowly poison anyone who tries to live there. The regolith blankets the surface to depths of 5 meters, in ancient basins over 15. Every step kicks it upward, every movement spreads it farther, and escaping its effects may be impossible. But the next discovery is even more disturbing. Lunar water ice. For decades, scientists believed the moon was completely dry. Then NASA slammed a rocket into one of its craters, and the moon answered back. In 2009, NASA's LC Cross mission crashed into Cabeus crater near the lunar South Pole. What emerged stunned scientists: water. Roughly 155 kilograms of ice blasted upward from the darkness. Subsequent observations revealed something even larger: hundreds of millions of metric tons of frozen water hidden inside permanently shadowed craters. These craters are colder than Pluto, minus 250 degrees Celsius. Some regions have not seen sunlight for billions of years. Entire sections of the moon remain frozen exactly as they existed during the birth of the solar system, untouched, unmelted, preserved in eternal darkness. And that's when the implications became terrifying. Water means oxygen. Oxygen means fuel. Fuel means the moon is no longer just a rock. It becomes a launch platform, a gateway deeper into space than humanity has ever traveled. The Artemis missions are heading directly toward these frozen regions, but scientists cannot confirm what else may have remained preserved there for billions of years, because some places on the moon have been sealed in darkness longer than complex life has existed on Earth, and the silence inside those craters may not be empty. Transient lunar phenomena. For over 400 years, people have seen lights moving across the moon. Brief flashes, strange glows, entire craters vanishing beneath luminous haze. Scientists call them transient lunar phenomena, TLPs. Over 579 verified events have been documented. Some lasted seconds, others lasted hours. Observers described deep red glows, violent white flashes, orange eruptions visible from Earth. And then things became impossible. Some events were recorded simultaneously by observers on opposite sides of the planet, meaning they were real, not equipment failure, not atmospheric distortion. Something actually happened on the moon. Nearly half of all sightings originate from one location, the Aristarchus Plateau, a geologically unstable region roughly 200 square miles wide. Scientists suspect ancient gases escaping through fractures in the crust, but recent events exceed what those models can explain, far exceed them. And that's where the fear begins, because humanity is planning future crewed missions directly into this region, toward the exact location where unexplained lunar activity continues to appear. Some scientists quietly admit something uncomfortable. The moon may still be geologically active in ways we fundamentally do not understand. But what lies beneath the surface is even worse. The South Pole-Aitken Basin, the largest confirmed impact crater in the solar system, is not on Earth. It's on the moon. The South Pole-Aitken Basin spans 2,500 kilometers across, 8 kilometers deep, large enough to make entire continents seem microscopic. It formed roughly 4.1 billion years ago during the violent birth of the solar system. The object that struck the moon traveled up to 20 kilometers per second. The impact released energy billions of times stronger than every nuclear weapon on Earth combined. A collision like that hitting Earth today would vaporize the oceans, strip away the atmosphere, and erase civilization within hours. But the impact exposed something extraordinary. Material from deep inside the lunar mantle, rock that should never be accessible from the surface. Scientists are effectively staring into the moon's interior without drilling a single kilometer. And then the implications became existential. The basin may preserve evidence from the earliest age of planetary formation itself, a time before Earth's oceans existed, before life, before stability. The Artemis missions are targeting this region specifically because whatever is buried there could rewrite the timeline of how planets survive catastrophic impacts, or reveal that survival was never guaranteed at all. And the next discovery makes the moon feel even less hospitable. Radiation environment. The moon has no atmosphere, no magnetic shield, nothing protecting its surface from the violence of space. Every second, charged particles from the sun bombard the moon directly. Cosmic radiation, solar wind, high-energy particles traveling near the speed of light. On Earth, our magnetic field protects us. On the moon, the surface takes the full hit. Astronauts there receive roughly 1,369 microsieverts every day. A yearly Earth radiation worker limit can be reached in just over a month. But then, reality gets worse. During major solar particle events, radiation levels can spike 100 times higher within minutes. Minutes. Apollo 16 and Apollo 17 narrowly avoided one of the most violent solar storms ever recorded. Had astronauts been outside during the eruption, they likely would have died before reaching shelter. And humanity would have watched it happen live. Current technology provides only minutes of warning, sometimes less. The sun does not care about mission schedules. It erupts without notice, without mercy. Every moment spent on the lunar surface is a gamble against an invisible force capable of shredding DNA in real time. And then scientists found something even stranger hiding on the surface. Lunar swirls. The moon contains magnetic scars that should not exist. Lunar swirls are massive bright markings spread across the surface. No ridges, no impact craters, no mountains. Just impossible patterns burned into the terrain itself. The largest, Reiner Gamma, stretches over 70 kilometers wide, visible from Earth through ordinary telescopes. But here's the impossible part. Each swirl is linked to localized magnetic fields on a world that lost its magnetic field billions of years ago. Scientists still cannot fully explain how they survived. The swirls appear less weathered than surrounding terrain, as though something is still partially shielding them from radiation. Some researchers suspect ancient comet impacts briefly magnetized the rock during collisions so violent they permanently altered the moon itself. But no laboratory on Earth has successfully recreated anything comparable. The force required would be catastrophic beyond imagination. And that leads to an unsettling possibility. The moon may still preserve the fingerprints of ancient cosmic events powerful enough to reshape planetary physics. Events humanity has never witnessed. Events we may not survive seeing again. But the final discovery is the one that still terrifies scientists most. The hollow ringing. In 1969, Apollo 12 deliberately crashed part of its spacecraft into the moon. What happened next should not have been possible. The moon rang. Not metaphorically, literally. Seismometers recorded vibrations continuing for over 55 minutes. Scientists expected seismic waves to fade quickly. Instead, the moon reverberated like metal. And then NASA repeated the experiment. In 1970, a 13.6-ton Saturn V rocket stage slammed into the surface. The moon rang for over 3 hours. 3 hours! The wave patterns behaved unlike any rocky body ever studied. The interior responded as though enormous sections were hollow or far less dense than expected, and scientists still cannot fully explain why. Officially, the moon contains a small molten core, but the ringing anomaly refuses to fit perfectly into accepted models. Some researchers quietly proposed a disturbing possibility: that vast portions of the lunar interior may be structurally empty compared to normal planetary bodies. The moon rings when struck. It fractures continuously. It emits unexplained lights. It hides frozen oceans in eternal darkness. It preserves magnetic scars from ancient cosmic violence, and every mission sent there uncovers more questions than answers. Then reality itself stops making sense, because humanity has always treated the moon as familiar, safe, known. But almost everything we've discovered suggests the opposite. The crew returning to the moon is not landing on a dead world. They are descending onto something ancient, unstable, and profoundly unknown. Something that has been silently orbiting Earth for billions of years, watching, waiting. And we may have only begun to understand what it really is. If you liked this video, subscribe for more dark space documentaries, because the deeper we look into the universe, the less human reality begins to feel.